Hey, Richie here. This is going to be my year-end recap video that I've been doing every year. I think every year. And I think last year I had like a ton of clips, but this year, not so many clips. I'm going to do a loose just talking to the camera because there weren't a ton of things that happened this year or a ton of little things. There were a few really big things, and I want to talk about them because I think it's fun to talk about them, and it's nice to reflect on the year and what happened. So in terms of the YouTube channel, I think the biggest thing is this. This is my play button, my 100,000 subscriber silver play button. Thank you guys so much for this. I've had my YouTube channel for about 10 years, no, more than 10 years, probably 15 years, and it's been a slow burn, probably because I'm not a diligent content creator. I don't sit here every week and make a new video, which is probably stupid, and I probably should, but really, I try to just do things I think are fun on this YouTube channel, things I'm interested in. There are the occasional product videos I do, but most of the stuff, like these guitars, are, there are things that I'm into, things I'm passionate about, and I want to share with people. So thank you for that. Also, huge thank you to Rudy Sarzo, who's the one that got me into YouTube. I remember it crystal clear. I've probably told this story on this channel a bunch of times, but you're going to hear it again. I was on a bus with Rudy Sarzo, and we were on our way to a gig or a hotel or something, and he just asked me, "What's on your YouTube channel, man?" And I said, "Nothing, a couple of clips from some gigs." He goes, "Oh, no, you're making a mistake. Guy like you, if you don't have a YouTube channel, you don't exist." And I really took that to heart, and I've really seen Rudy as a mentor since I met him, and he's been amazing to me, and I took that advice, and I started getting serious about posting stuff. So thank you to Rudy. So Rudy, thank you for this. And thank everybody who subscribed and who follows the ridiculous stuff I do on this channel. Speaking of stuff on this channel, this was something this year worth mentioning. This one I saw on Instagram. It's a Music Man, Albert Lee, Humbucker, HH. And I got it because the color scheme. When I was a kid, I was a big fan of black and yellow, and my eye was just drawn to it. I had to get it. What I wasn't expecting was that this was going to become my main guitar. No idea. When I picked it up, the neck felt a little foreign to me just because I've been playing an Axis-style guitar since I'm 16. But after about an hour with it, I realized, wow, I'm playing more cleanly on this. My hands don't hurt as much because, middle age, you get the arthritis thing. My hands feel better. It sounds great. It's just, this became my number one guitar. I did do a video on this channel. I'll post some stuff in the description. I did mod this a little bit since I got it because I can't help myself. This had the Axis pickups in it, and I liked this pickup. It just got a little mushy when I would use it down here, so I changed this to a PAF 36th Anniversary DiMarzio, and now it's a little clearer, Yeah, big surprise. The other new addition is my Slimeglo Rickenbacker. Thank you, Uncle Phil, my cousin Phil, and Rocco Monterosso for the help with this. Also, thanks to Frank Italiano. This was the bass I used on the big thing I did this year, which I guess I'll talk about now. And we did a video on this, link in the description. So the biggest thing this year that was all-consuming, that took up all the time that I had, is the Band Geek tour with John Anderson. And this was a dream come true. I know that's a cliche, but there's no other way to say it. This was huge. And this is not something that was just thrown together. We've been planning this since late 2021, and I couldn't talk about it, and it was killing me. You don't want to jinx these things, and also, like everything else in show business, there's 1,000 ways things could go wrong and not happen. Especially something like this where there are all these moving parts. If one little part of the chain fails, then the whole thing fails. And I was lucky enough to have this actually happen. This is the first time I ever produced a tour. I had to get a crash course on that. So thank you, Steve Shank, for teaching me how to do all this stuff. Steve was hugely helpful to me, or I couldn't have done this without him. And thank you, Steve. Means a lot. And obviously, huge thank you to John Anderson for having faith in us to do something like this, because we've never done anything like this. This band, even though all the guys in the band do other gigs and are professional musicians and are, superstars. These are my favorite musicians. When we come together, this is where we play. That's it. We very rarely have we done gigs as the band Geeks. We've done 2 gigs. I think we did one for the 50th show and one for the 100th show. That was it. Like I said, we started in late 2021, and we were rehearsing. That's how far back. We rehearsed for 16 months for the tour, and I believe we had a total of 48 rehearsals. And they were grueling. It's just the set list was, when I first started speaking to John, and he told me the songs he wanted to do, and I was writing the set list down. I was like, oh my God, wow. Oh, okay, so we're doing The Ritual, and we're doing Gates of Delirium, and Close to the Edge, and Awaken. Okay, so, but, all the guys really rose to the challenge. I'm very impressed by the guys in the band. It was a trip to look over while we're playing and not only see my hero, John Anderson, standing there singing with us. That was like an out-of-body experience. But to look over and then look past him and see Andy Graziano, and he's playing guitar with John, that is something to wrap your brain around, because, me, Andy Graziano, and Andy Ascalise had been playing this music together since we're kids. So to have that experience, I can't even describe it, but I couldn't really bask in it too much, because if you had allowed yourself those moments, you would get lost. So I look back at some of the videos that are on YouTube, and I see the look of terror in my face as I'm like counting and trying not to get lost, because this is intense music. When we would do these Band Geek live things, or when we do a gig like this, we'd usually do one Yes song, but to do 2.5 hours of Yes music was insane. It was incredible to get to do this with my friends. All the guys on stage are my friends, and also people I trust. Because I said this to the guys in the band several times. I said, we're not going to play a show. We're going into battle. That's what I said. I said, we're going to battle. We have to help each other, leave no man behind kind of thing. I said, if you see somebody starting to get lost, help them. If that's what it was. Like, don't leave each other to hang out to dry. We were all very intensely listening to each other, and if we saw somebody have the look of terror on their face, like, uh-oh, I don't know where I am, you give them a little cue, and everybody was really good about that. I looked over at Rob Kipp, who I've done tons of gigs with. I've played with Rob with my dad. We've done bar gigs playing R&B music, and he and I would always geek out over prog rock. So to share this with Rob was amazing. And Chris Clark, who I know is as nuts about this music as we all are. And of course, Andy Ascalise, who's my partner in crime. And just, knowing that we're going to go do this thing, and with these guys to have your back was awesome. It was a great experience. We did 12 shows, and they were mostly sold out, and the audiences were great. And it's, we saw people really get affected by this music, and we were right there with them because we're very affected by this music. So this was the biggest thing, and I spent a ton of time, almost every free minute of time I had working on this, because not only did we have to get the playing together, but we had to get the production of the show together. And I want to just acknowledge a few people. When the idea first started taking shape and talking to John, he was mentioning the visual components of the show. I want video screens, I want lights, I want all this stuff. And I'd never done anything like that. I did a little bit of it on my live stream, so I guess I had done it, but never in the scale of a live show like this. I called up Bender, who is Queensryche's tour manager, because they had a really cool video presentation. And I said, all right, how are you doing this? And he talked me through the whole thing. So thank you, Bender. And I'm also lucky enough to be gaming buddies with Ezra Donnellan, who ended up being our LD. Does LD stand for lighting designer or lighting director? I think it's lighting designer. Leave it in the comments. I'm not sure. I could look it up, but I don't want to do it while I'm talking. But yeah, I've known Ezra for a long time, and during COVID, we started playing a space game together called Elite Dangerous. So Ezra and I joke that we're space buddies. And I didn't even know he was really doing this lighting thing. I knew he was a musician, but I didn't know specifically what he was doing. So one day we're just flying our spaceships around, and I said, so, Ezra, what do you do? He says, oh, I'm an LD. I work for all these bands, and they were huge bands. And he does gigantic gigs. I said, oh, wow, cool. That's amazing. I had no idea. So then when this John Anderson opportunity started taking shape, and I had to create a show like this, I called Ezra, and he's like, oh, yeah, well, I'll show you how to do it. And he designed the whole show. And then as it got closer, he said, I'm not working during these 2 months where you guys are touring. I'll do it. So he was our LD, which was a huge blessing. It was just a huge bonus to have a guy like that on our crew, and he did a phenomenal job. Our whole crew was great. We had Jacob Fishman. I believe this was his first ever tour. He did monitors and my side of the stage, so he did the bass. I think he did some keyboards. We had two awesome guys on stage. Jacob was great, and Chris Fenn, who's a veteran. He used to work with Blue Oyster Cult, I think in the 90s, and then he worked for Jeff Beck. He worked with Steely Dan, all these huge groups, and he was doing Andy Graziano's guitars. Great guy to have on the crew. We also had Rob Schmall, who was John's tech, and who did all John's world. Rob was a great guy to be with. Then we also had Steve Lacera, Woody, who's been on Band Geek before. He did the front of house sound, and he was our tour manager. And I've known Woody since like 7 years old, so it was awesome to have Woody be involved with this. We had a great time. John was awesome, very enthusiastic, passionate about the music, and he's like a machine. I mean, we played for 3 hours. We took a break in the middle, but it was a 3-hour show. So I guess 2.5 hours of music, which is insane. And this is not easy music, so we all had tremendous respect for John. It was amazing. I also need to give a huge thank you to my family, who were instrumental in helping us pull this tour off, because without their help, it wouldn't have happened. I mean, my parents, John and Gail Castellano, they let us rehearse in their house for the last 6 months. They cleared out their basement because my parents have a big open basement. So we set up all of our gear there, the drums, amps, PA, everything. And we just really got down to it. And we're very noisy, very loud. So thank you, Mom and Dad. And my dad would come down to the rehearsals, and he was very constructive and helpful, and he would crack us up. It was awesome. They'd let us park our truck in their driveway. we were really doing stuff like that. And also my sister, who helped us out, my sister Nicole, who helped us out with the travel arrangements. Everybody pitched in for this, and just incredibly thankful. So that was the biggest thing. And then all the stuff that came along with that. It was just a lot. And then the other huge thing is producing this Blue Oyster Cult 50th anniversary live show project. And I can't talk too much about it. Night 1 is out. We produce the whole thing here. We do the surround. You can see my surround speakers here. We do the surround sound mix here. We do the video editing here, and it's a giant project. It takes a lot of time. A lot of moving parts. That's something that Steve Shank and I do here, and that's been the other huge thing, taking up a lot of time and all the BOC stuff. And I'm also very grateful that I get to do that I get to do production work. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Buck, and thank you, Eric, for continuing to allow me to do that, because that's a huge deal. I mean, I love playing with the band, but that's sort of half of what I do. The other half of what I do is production, is in here. And to get to use that, to flex that muscle here for Blue Oyster Cult is really cool. And we released a few promo things, and it's out now, and people are starting to message me. And I think people like it, which is great. It's great when you release something and people like it. But I think we released 2 clips ahead of that. I'll put a link to Screams so you can watch it. It came out under Frontiers, so please check that out. I also got to play a few cool shows with Blue Oyster Cult this year. We headlined the Stonedead Festival in Nottingham, which was amazing. And then we got to play Sweden Rock, which is one of the biggest rock festivals in the world. And we went on before Iron Maiden. And if you watch this channel, you know I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan, so that was a real treat. We got to sit right in the pit there and watch them play. They're awesome. But while I was at Sweden Rock playing, I got to see Kristen Starky from Twilight Force, was blown away by her, and I reached out to her. It turns out she's from the New York area, and when she was here visiting family, she made some time to come and do some Band Geek videos with us. So we just released those earlier this month or last month. I think it was earlier this month. And yeah, she just killed it. So thank you so much to Kristin. I'll put links so you can watch those videos. She was amazing, and we're hoping to do more with her because she's so good. Another BOC adjacent thing I got to do, if you have been following what Albert Bouchard has been doing, he's been doing this Reimaginos thing where he's trying to tell the complete story of Imaginos that he and Sandy Pearlman came up with. And I got to write a song with Albert for his 3rd installment. I think it's the final installment. And I really enjoy writing music with Albert. He's very fast and no nonsense. He'll throw a ton of ideas out at you, and I kind of like working like that. I like working quickly, and Albert is sort of on that wavelength. He's just rapid pace. That's no good. Change this to that. Let's try this. It's awesome. But we wrote a song called Mountain of Madness. The story behind that was actually he had another version of it, and I tried to sing it, and I couldn't sing it. And I told him, and he said, "Hey, Richie, can you sing this song for Imaginos Part 3? And I said, "Albert, I can't sing this. I'm sorry. You know, it's not really my kind of song, and I don't think I'm going to do it justice." And then he said in Albert fashion, "Well, make it your kind of song." I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Rewrite it." I said, "Oh, man." So I said, "All right, what's it about?" And he told me it's about a mission, and they procured this mirror. It's an evil mirror, and it's sort of like Lord of the Rings, where they have to bring it to this mountain. This is the only place where the mirror can be destroyed. Just like how in Lord of the Rings, the ring could only be destroyed in the volcano. It's the same thing. Like they have to bring this evil mirror. I think it's the Mirror of Terror to the Mountain of Madness, where it can be destroyed. And the Mirror of Terror is you go insane when you look into it. He told me the whole story. And he said, so the hero takes the mirror on a boat, and they have to take this treacherous boat ride to the Mountain of Madness. So when he said boat, I thought, oh, it's a sea shanty. I'm going to write a sea shanty. I said, can I write a sea shanty? And Albert's like, yeah, go ahead. So, I had, I had that doom da do da do do to very sea shanty type chords, type feel, and he said, "This is like a Disney song." When I showed him the first demo, I said, "Oh, sorry, did I go too far?" He said, "No, it's great." So Albert's very encouraging, and then he tweaked it. He changed some of my lyrics, and he wrote the whole middle section, and it was just. I think we did it over Zoom, where I sent a rough draft to him, and then we refined it together. It was really fun. And then he just released a video for it with footage, because he did that whole show at Sony Hall, and I sat in with him for that one song, and he took footage from the live show, and then he made his music video out of it, and it came out great. So I'll put a link to that. So thank you, Albert, for that. What else happened this year? Oh, you know what? This is something silly, but I'm going to mention it anyway. I went on my first vacation in 7 years. I went to Tennessee with my closest friends, and we had a blast. I went to Dollywood. We did ATVs, rafting. I have never done that before, anything like that. But if you're looking for a very, I guess, It's like a light adventure vacation. Go to Gatlinburg, or I think that's where we were, or Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. I highly recommend it. One more thing I want to talk about. A lot of you have been asking me about the musical that I was working on. I'm still working on it. I'm still committed to putting this out because the music's finished. I just have to finish the animation. I did have to put that off to the side while I focused on the John Anderson and Blue Oyster Cult projects I was doing. And I don't regret doing that, because sometimes when things happen like that and they're huge opportunities and things you've always dreamed of doing, that's a good reason. So the musical's on hold for a little bit, but as soon as I can, I will be getting back to it. The good news is, and I have been getting back into the animation a little bit and dabbling, is that with every new generation of the software that comes out, the animation gets easier and faster. So when it is time to get back into the musical, I think I'm going to have a much easier time doing it, because a lot of the things that took an enormous amount of time to do don't take that long anymore. So I think by the time I'm ready to get back to it, it's going to be a much quicker, smoother process, he said foolishly. But so it's coming. Don't worry about it. It's coming, and the music's done. I think it sounds great. I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. I cannot wait to show it to you, but there's other things that are more pressing that have to happen first. And hopefully next year I'll be able to do one of these recaps and talk about all the stuff I'm doing now that I can't talk about. And it kills me because I'm an oversharer and I like talking about everything. But I just want you guys to know that I am working on some big things, and I'm working very diligently on them, and I can't wait to share them with you. So everybody, thank you so much for just supporting what I'm doing, supporting what the band Geeks do. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for allowing me a platform to do this stuff that I think is fun. It means a lot to me, and I hope everybody has a happy new year and an amazing 2024. Let's kick ass. All right, guys. See you soon.